Not a problem. We want your microphone on. Is it possible for you to read the text 34 today?
Oh, sorry, this is my first day, so I don't know
Okay.
exactly where you guys.
Okay. Not a problem. Not a
Yeah.
problem. Not a problem. Just enjoy
Thank you.
the session. I'm glad that you could join in,
Thank
and
you.
you are welcome every day in this group. It meets at the same time, same link every day, and we finish on time. We start on time and we finish on time. So it's a pleasure having you. So we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 6, and the text for today is text 34. Prabhuji, would you like to read the text or should I go ahead?
You can read the text, please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaivam Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tata Mudirayate Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Tamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text 34. Sorry, Prabhuji, it is text 35. We did 34 yesterday. Yes. Okay. Soham samam nayamayas maya prajapatinam abhivadita patiha ashtaya yogam nipunam samhatas tam nadiya chagachat yato atma sambhava. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, do you know the meter? I have forgotten the meter.
What is that?
Would you know the meter of this shloka? I have forgotten.
Well, let me see. Soham samanayamanayasthapo maya prajapatinam abhivandita pati astaya yogam nipunam samahitas tam nadhikacham yata atma sambhava. That one seems to work. What do you think?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. I'll do the word to word. Saha aham, myself, the great Brahma. Samanaya, Maya, in the chain of disciplinic succession of the Vedic wisdom. Tapa Maya, successfully having undergone all austerities. Prajapatinam, of all the forefathers of living entities. Abhivadita, worshipable. Pati, master. Ashtaya, successfully practiced. Yogam, mystic powers. Nipunam, very expert. Samahita, self-realized. Tam, the Supreme Lord. Na, did not. Adhyagacham, properly understood. Yataha, from whom. Atma, self. Sambhava, generated. Translation. Although I am known as the great Brahma, perfect in disciplinic succession of Vedic wisdom, and although I have undergone all austerities and am expert in mystic power and self-realization, and although I am recognized as such by the great forefathers of the living entities who offer me respectful obeisances, still I cannot understand him, the Lord, the very source of my birth. Hare Krishna Prabhu, would you like me to read the purport or should we do little bits of the purport? It's a long purport today.
Yeah, no, we can switch off. I'll read the first couple of paragraphs and then someone else. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe, is admitting his failure to know the Supreme Lord despite his vast learning in the Vedic wisdom, despite his austerity, penance, mystic powers, and self-realization, and despite being worshipped by the great Prajapatis, the forefathers of the living entities. So these qualifications are not sufficient to know the Supreme Lord. Brahmaji could understand the Lord to a little extent only when he was trying to serve him by the eagerness of his heart, which is the devotional service mood. Therefore, the Lord can be known only by the sincere mood of eagerness for service and not by any amount of material qualification as scientist or speculative philosopher or by attainment to mystic powers. This fact is clearly corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. Brahmabhuta prasanatma na sochati na kanchati sama sabeshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chashmi tatvataha. Tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. Only self-realization by the attainment of the above high qualifications of Vedic wisdom, austerity, etc., can help one on the path of devotional service. But failing in devotional service, one remains still imperfect, because even in that position of self-realization, one cannot factually know the Supreme Lord. By self-realization, one is qualified to become a devotee, and the devotee by the service mood, bhaktya, only can gradually know the personality of Godhead. One should not, however, misunderstand the import of vishate, enters into, as referring to merging into the existence of the Supreme. Even in material existence, one is merged in the existence of the Lord. No materialist can disentangle the self from matter, for the self is merged in the external energy of the Lord. As no layman can separate butter from milk, no one can extricate the merged self from matter by acquiring some material qualification. This vishate by devotion, bhaktya, means to be able to participate in the association of the Lord in person. Bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord, means to become free from material entanglement and then to enter into the kingdom of God, becoming one like him. Losing one's individuality is not the aim of bhakti yoga or of the devotees of the Lord. There are 5 types of liberation, one of which is called sayuja, or being merged into the existence or body of the Lord. The other forms of liberation maintain the individuality of the particle soul and involve being always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The word vishate, used in text 1855 of the Bhagavad Gita, is thus meant for the devotees who are not at all anxious for any kind of liberation. The devotees are satisfied simply being engaged in the service of the Lord, regardless of the situation. So we'll stop here. Are there any questions or comments about what we've heard from Srila Prabhupada?
Yes, Prabhuji, if you can throw more light on these 3 individuals. I mean, there are 5 types, but Sayaja Mukti, and the one who maintains the individuality, and the Vishate.
Yes. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point to us because there are different opinions, some different opinions. Sometimes people have different opinions in Krishna. So we are, as Lord Krishna says, Mamai Bamsho, Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manasta Sindirani, Prakriti Shtarni Karshati. We are eternally his part and parcel. Just like a father and son, the son never becomes the father. The son may become equally wealthy or equally strong, but the father is always the father and the son is always the son. They never become completely equal. The son never becomes the father, that's all. It's not a very complicated thing. So in the same way, we are of God and we are very tiny parts of God, but we never become God completely. So liberation or mukti or salvation means to be who we are, which is forever, as they say, forever and a day, always the children of God, very small, and separate from him in personality. We never lose our individuality. Not very complicated, unless something influences us to think differently. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain that this individuality, eternal individuality, there's five types. I'm not sure I can remember all the Sanskrit names, but one type of liberation, one attains the same wealth or opulence of Krishna, one attains the same samipya, and then sarupya, which means having similar looking spiritual body, samipya, sarupya, there's two, and then there's Saryuja Mukti, which is not keeping one's individuality, and it's not something that happens very often, but it is possible that one uh, merges into the body of Krishna. Like Shishapal, there was someone, demon, very against Krishna, and he attained this Sayuja Mukti. So the main point is that uh, our eternal identity as an individual, and to be satisfied in that identity uh, is the aim of a devotee. It is described that the devotee can be the most peaceful of all people because the devotee only wants the pleasure of Krishna. It does not aspire for becoming a big professor, very learned or very wealthy or famous, or even becoming liberated. There's many types of spiritualists, and there's a certain level of spirituality where one thinks about merging into the white light, merging into the Brahman, becoming free of the material world and just going to some vague spiritual sky. Uh, so that's a kind of spirituality, uh, not complete, perfect understanding. And so it is Srila Prabhupada is just making the point very in great detail and very strongly that this is not pure devotion. This is not pure bhakti to want something other than just existing as in relationship with God, with Krishna. Any other questions along the same line or something else?
So, Prabhuji, Vichate is the one who is not anxious of any kind of liberation. So he's the one who maintains the individuality of the soul and involves being always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yeah, a loving relationship.
So one
But
is,
for us,
yes.
yeah, Srila Prabhupada was asked that should we desire to go back to Godhead? And he said, yes, for you, you should definitely want to go back to the spiritual world. To desire our spiritual welfare is real selfishness, and Krishna wants that. Krishna wants us. We talk about serving Krishna. We talk about pleasing Krishna. So maybe we think about helping other people to know about him and distributing books and distributing prasadam and working to support the ISKCON society. And these are all services. And Krishna wants us back in the spiritual world. So if we want that, then we're wanting what he wants. I want to go back to Godhead. Krishna wants me there. So that's also a service. Not that we help others and we don't think about it ourselves. No, we're supposed to get on the bus and go there too. Yes, we're not just putting people on the plane. No, we want to get on the plane and Go to Vrindavan. Go to Goloka Vrindavan.
So what is
But
that?
in a very high stage, when we do fully awaken to pure love, then we won't think about that so much. We just want to serve Krishna.
So what is that type called? That kind
What
of
is what?
type. What is that type of liberation called?
Which one?
The one going back to Godhead, or wanting
Oh,
to
that
go.
could be any of them. Because really in the spiritual realm, we have all five, I mean, all four automatically. But it's possible that one could divide them into categories. In the spiritual world, everyone has the same looking form as Krishna. Well, not necessarily. There are animals and plants and trees, such like that. But anyone who has a form, it is a form like him, except there are certain characteristics we don't have. You just want to
Okay.
love Krishna. We already, I and you and all of us, we already have an eternal relationship. It will manifest itself. It's already there. We are already eternally who we are. So eventually that's exciting. We will find out who we are. Sounds crazy, but spiritually, I don't think you want to tell everybody, tell your employer, yes, I'm looking forward to finding out who I am. They'll
That's
think you're
correct.
some, maybe some imposter or some, want to look at your passport. What do you mean you don't know who you are? It says right here who you are, but we know better.
Okay, Prabhuji, we can continue if there are no other questions or comments. Any questions from Dennis or Vinny? No questions or comments, so we can continue, Prabhuji.
Yes. So this chapter, the Purusha Sukta, chapter 6 of Canto 2. So Narada Muni was asking his father, Lord Brahma, questions. And so Lord Brahma is so powerful, uh, demigod. Many religions, many countries, all over the world, people worship spirits and angels and gods all over the world. It's not uncommon. Certainly long ago in the Greek culture and Roman culture, Persian culture, every culture, Egyptian, there was so much worship of demigods. And of course, in India and in Africa, South America, especially the sun god and the moon god, all over the world. But I was studying some years ago. It was interesting, the parallel, how in Africa, there are many tribes or groups who worship a number of different spirits and powerful beings. But there's several which accept that there's one supreme above all of them. In their day-to-day life, they may offer prayers to the god of the river, or the mountain, or the crops, or but I forget the names. There's 4 or 5 different tribes which they accept that beyond all of those, there is one, I forget the word, I don't remember the African words, but there's one supreme God. Just like in the Hinduism, there are many demigods, but there is one supreme, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, above all of them. So Lord Brahma, he is the demigod, and so very, very powerful, the actual engineer of this universe. You might say that he is the God many people consider when they think of God. But here he is saying that I don't understand Krishna fully.
Mm.
So we should not be, as he says here, that still I cannot understand him, the Lord, the very source of my birth. And Lord Krishna says the same thing in the 10th canto, 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that the hosts of beings and the sages, they don't understand me completely. So we should not feel bad, and we should not try too hard to understand Krishna. We're not going to get very far, and that's okay. And part of being a devotee is being at peace with that. That Krishna, Atashi Krishna Namani Navaven Gram Indrai, Sevan Mukhe Hijivado, Swayameva Surat Yada. That Krishna is not to be understood by material eyes and nose and mouth and brains. You just simply can't. He is adhokshaja. He is transcendental. He is beyond the material plane of existence. We can't even see radio waves, and Krishna is finer, more invisible than radio waves or satellite or television, cell phone. We can't even see cell phone signals, but they're there. So Lord Brahma, he is such a great person, so powerful. He says, I can't understand Krishna very much, but I understand his existence. And he does understand Krishna to a significant degree, but not completely. So that's the way it is. And there are verses where Lord Brahma says that I bow down. I think in this chapter, he says, or the previous one, he says, I bow down to Krishna as a matter of sanity. It's just, what else can I do? He is so great, so powerful. And so I offer my respect. And whatever I can understand of him, that's my great fortune. So here, this verse, Lord Brahma is saying that despite being so intelligent and a great yogi and self-realized and a great manager, it's not enough. It's not enough qualification to understand the Supreme God. There's only one qualification. What is that? What is the qualification for understanding Krishna as much as it might be possible?
Yes,
Spoken
Dennis.
about in the purport today.
Yes, Dennis,
By what?
Dennis Prabhu, you can tell us. I think it is the rendering devotional service. You don't have to know the Vedas and everything, but you just have to be sincere and
Isn't that true? Suppose you're working for some big barrister and or some politician. They have big estate, and you're doing some work. So he's not going to tell you what he did as a little boy, or what he's thinking today, or what he feels about things. You don't have that relationship with that man or woman. Suppose you bring the lunch for some famous actress, right? Is she going to tell you how things are going with her boyfriend? What what is her relationship with her mother? She's not going to tell you these things. And if you ask, she'll just tell you to go away. But when will she or when will that man tell you such things? What do we have to have? What kind of relationship do we have to have? It's a different kind of relationship, isn't it?
Loving relationship.
We have to become friendly and offer service, don't we? You know, it is well known that the prime ministers or politicians, they have some servant or, the chief executive officer of a company, they have administrative secretary. So after some months or some years, then maybe they will share some personal information. You know, they come to know the person's family and different things that are happening, intimate, confidential detail because of the relationship. It is a natural thing. So if we make good relationship with Krishna, then what can he do for us? Right? Suppose you drive the car for some very wealthy man, right? Some prime minister. So you drive his car every day. So you become friendly after some time. And so he says, "Oh, how's your family? Oh, it's all right. My mother's very ill. She needs very expensive medication." So, oh, well, let me see what I can do to help you because you have that friendly relation. Otherwise, he doesn't care so much. I mean, it is just like anything. Our children, when our children ask for help, we help them first, not the next door neighbor children. It's just natural because there is relationship. As they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know, what kind of relationship that you have. So that's very intelligent thing. Even we may not like someone very much, but we try to have a good relationship so they can help us to get the job or some promotion, something, some bank loan. If you want to become friendly with a woman, you don't cause trouble to her child. She'll never talk to you. And even if you're not so handsome, if you're nice to the baby, she'll talk to you. Oh, what a nice man. So it is based on relationship. So same with Krishna. Why not? So Krishna says, Srila Prabhupada quotes, Bhaktimam Abhijananti Yavaneschasmi Tattvataha. Such a simple, common sense thing. And this is what Lord Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. Only by bhakti, only by a good relationship with me, a service attitude, will I reveal myself. Or anything that we may want. Look at the children of any kind of wealthy parents. They have everything. And if you don't have a good relationship with a powerful person, then what will you have? It's hard. You have to get it all yourself, right? So for the devotee who wants to understand Krishna, then we offer service. Find out what will please Krishna with sincerity. Uh, as he says, always manmana bhava mad bhakto, majidimam namaskaru, always think of me, always become my devotee, bow down to me, worship me, offer service. One who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says he's the servant of my devotee, that is my devotee. So easy, we just find devotee of Krishna, especially very advanced devotee, pure devotee, our spiritual master, but any devotee, and please them, do something for them, offer service. Krishna says this will please me more than trying to please me directly. So easy thing. Find a devotee. Well, what can I do to help you? Or we know what they like, what they need. Let me bring some fruit. Let me bring some food. Let me bring some clothes. Let me help them to do whatever it is they're doing. This is humble service. Krishna will be pleased with me, and he will. And of course, offering service, respect, and worship directly. So we make offerings with the incense and the water, and we offer some fruits. Patram puspam palam toyam yome bhaktir panashati. I will accept a leaf, a fruit, a flower, water, anything that one offers me with devotion. And so every day we bring something to Krishna. We're walking. Oh, that's a nice flower. That's a nice leaf. Let me bring it and offer it to Krishna. Every day we can offer some water, some incense, or if we don't have incense, we can make some spray of flower, oil, and spray. Something, offer something, anything. It's just the devotion that Krishna wants. That's all. Just I acknowledge you exist. I would like to have your shelter. I want to be in relationship with you. Please accept this. And then we Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in this age of Kali, what is the main service to offer to God? What is the most important two things?
Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama Kevalam.
Which
Chanting,
means, yes,
which means chanting.
Harinama, Harinama, Harinama. Then in this age of Kali, there is no better way to please Krishna than to, by kirtan, by singing his divine names, singing about him with respect and um, appreciation, at least, if not affection and love, but at least respect and appreciation. And so we sit or we stand in front of the pictures or the murti of Krishna, the deity of Krishna, and we just chant for his pleasure. So this is Atashi Krishna Namadi Navaban Ram Indirai, Sevan Mukhe. Mukhe means mouth. Seva Mukhe. So I have heard, or anyone we can read, many lectures where Srila Prabhupada says that people will be surprised that the easiest and first way to serve God is with our tongue. Yes, just use our, not a shovel, not our hands, use our tongue by talking good things about Krishna, singing about Krishna, chanting his divine names, and honoring food that has been offered to him. So just these two things, that's it. Not very complicated. Just these two things we do regularly for some time and desiring. Ayi nanda tanuja kinkaram vishame bhavamadu. Buddha, Kripiya tava pankaja stiti dudam sadrasham vichintaya. Lord Chaitanya has said that praying from our heart that, oh energy of the Lord, oh Lord, please pick me up and place me as an atom at your lotus feet in a mood of love. Please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death. This is pure praying, and it may be that we need something or want something. So we may offer some prayer, that if you so desire. But first, best is that please help me to understand you, to realize you, to understand myself. May I please be, this may sound odd, but the prayer, may I please be allowed to be who I am. Because it's hard, isn't it? Even though we know all these things, I know all these things, we all have heard these things, but to feel it in our heart, it's not such an easy thing, right? It comes and it goes, and we're up and we're down because we have our karma, we have our conditioning, and only Krishna can lift us up by his transcendental power to our pure identity. It's not something we can do completely, that if I chant enough rounds and if I visit the temple enough, one day it will happen. It may. Srila Prabhupada has said that may take 700 births if you try that. But we have to ask and we have to want in our heart specifically, and we make prayers to Krishna. Ayi Nanda Tanuja Kinkaranam. That, oh son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I'm so habituated to these material ways and fallen in so many obstacles. Please pick me up. So that is one tremendous benefit of bhakti yoga. Srila Prabhupada and the pure devotees tell us there's different kinds of yoga: Kriya yoga, Stanga yoga, Raj yoga, Hatha yoga, Jnana yoga. Many types of ways to link with God, to understand Him. But one of the beautiful things about bhakti is that the devotee realizes, I'm not going to be some big person and do all this by myself. And so I surrender. So there's a lot said here about surrender. Sharanagati. Has anyone heard that? Sharanagati. Gati means the path, and Sharana means to surrender. So bhakti, where there is bhakti, so this is all explained, of course, in Srila Prabhupada's books, and especially by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that where there he has one songbook, Srila Bhaktivinoda, which is called Sharanagati. Wonderful, wonderful. He reveals his inner thinking. He has given many prayers and poems that describe his inner thoughts about surrender. So where there is bhakti, there must be sharanagati, or surrender. And where there is surrender, there is bhakti. That we must surrender in our heart to Krishna, this feeling. So we are given 6 principles of sharanagati. And Srila Prabhupada quotes these, I think, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, or certainly in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Krishna will hear our prayers more to the extent that we have the mood and act in Sharanagati. And it goes back to what we were talking about, relationship, just like if we have a child, or us as the children of our parents, we have a kind of Sharanagati with them. So the 6 principles of Sharanagati are to feel oneself very dependent on Krishna, that I can do things, but only by the grace of Krishna, only by the resources that he provides, the ability that he provides, to think ourselves very dependent on Krishna, to accept what's favorable for being in relationship with Krishna and rejecting what's unfavorable. And Krishna is watching, right? Just like if we have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they tell us, oh, yes, I love you. But then they're talking to other boys, other girls. They don't seem to be focusing on us. So what really is it's not so serious. So when we accept what's favorable for devotion, for our life as devotees, which involves sacrifice, doesn't it? Sometimes we have to give up things that we don't want to give up. Sometimes we have to accept things we don't want to accept. It can be a little uncomfortable at times, but that's love, isn't it? When we take a little extra trouble to do something for someone, it's love, isn't it? That proves it. What do they say? Talk is cheap, but let's see you walk the walk. So to accept what's favorable, to reject what's unfair, just like we have the 4 regulative principles and only eating certain foodstuffs that are offered to Krishna. These are the major things. Accept what's favorable, reject what's unfavorable, to feel oneself always dependent upon Krishna. There's three others. Does anyone remember? I can look them up. But the essence of these is this mood of connection to Krishna and this thinking that I am a devotee of Krishna. And when Krishna sees, when he understands that we are dedicated to him, then he hears our prayers. That was the point I wanted to make. That because nothing attracts Krishna more or other than love and the attitude of dependence. I mean, what mother or father would not be thinking about their children who obviously want their help? If your daughter or son is calling every week, oh, things are okay, but could you help me with this? I don't know what I'd do without you. I hope you're always there because I need good advice. Then you will think of that daughter or son different than the one that never calls because apparently they don't feel they need your help very much. So Krishna is the same way. When he knows that we are depending on him, that we're thinking, Krishna will help me, Krishna will protect me, then Krishna will uh, respond. Of course he will. And if we are doing things to help ourselves, because we cannot be doing illegal criminal things, oh, Krishna will protect me. This is silly. But we do our best to act the right way and do the right things, and we're thinking, "Oh, Krishna, please guide me, please help." He will, of course, he will. That power of the power of our attitude. There was an example I heard about a little boy. He was 9 years old. He was on international flight, so he was asking everyone, "Oh, I'm all by myself. I'm traveling alone. Please look after me." Now, what would happen if there was some trouble on that plane? Because he asked, and the people knew that he was counting on them. Isn't it? It's the relationship. Whereas if he didn't ask for help, of course some would notice, oh, here's this little boy. But because they knew he was counting on them. So the same with Krishna. Uh, the more that we just put our faith in Krishna's goodness, he will reciprocate more. So it takes a little courage, perhaps, or a little confidence. Well, sounds good. A lot of pure devotees talk about it. So let me try. Let me try not to be too worried about things and be willing to accept what comes by his grace. So that is Srila Prabhupada's birth name, Abhay Charan. Charan is feet, and Abhay means fearless. And when we look at the life of Srila Prabhupada, we watch the videos and hear him. So peaceful, so very and fearless. Because he was Sharanagati, fully surrendered, that whatever you desire, I give my heart to you. I am dedicating my heart to you, my soul. Whatever you think is best, I accept. And I'm happy to serve you. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaramam. Please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and just put me in a mood of devotion and love. So fearless and so peaceful. So it's not some trick that, oh, if I do this, then everything will be perfect. Many things will go well, but not everything, because this is the material world. And, we have our past karma to work through. And Krishna has a plan. We see the Pandavas, right? Arjuna, Bhima, Sahadev. They were um, best friends with Krishna. But look at all the trouble that happened. You want to talk about difficult situation. Their cousins tried to kill them continually. They were cheated out of their palace. They had to live um, incognito for 13 years. Can you imagine living and growing up in a wealthy house and you're kicked out on the street? You're kicked out into the jungle. They were kicked out into the jungle. That's where they lived. They slept on the floor of jungles and sometimes houses. But they didn't lose their faith in Krishna. They knew that this was all part of some greater good plan. And uh, Krishna knows best. There's some goodness here. There's some good purpose. I don't know. But my only business is to stay in love with Krishna. And eventually it did turn out very well for them externally. And just see how we're talking about them. Who is talked about after 5,000 years? There's practically no one, but we talk about Krishna and we talk about the Pandavas, and they are so Krishna used them because they were willing to be used to show an example for devotees in the future. We're reading Bhagavad Gita with Arjuna now. So that is also Krishna has a big plan. Even ordinarily, people understand this. That I've heard many people say, "Oh, I've been through these difficulties in my life, and now I'm able to help others get through those situations because I went through those situations, because I learned. Now I'm able to help others." So there's some goodness there. So Abhay Charan, fearless at the feet of Krishna in Sharanagati, this bhakti. And so uh, Krishna says, what is that? Bhaktyamam abhijananti. Only by developing good relationship with me in service will you understand me as I am. And there's no other way. So this is our focus, that we want to keep steady our respect and our appreciation, cultivate appreciation, associate with pure devotees who understand Krishna much more than we do, and follow in their footsteps. That's why singing and hearing the poetry and the prayers of the pure devotees is so beneficial, because then we can understand what is the thinking, what is the attitude, how do they deal with the different situations. How do they pray to Krishna, to put it simply? How do they pray to Krishna? What is their thinking? So you can find, it is in PDF form, this Sharan Agati prayers of songbook of Srila Bhakti Vinod. He has two other ones. So here in this verse, as we were talking, so Lord Rama is saying, I can't understand Krishna, and the only way is by devotion. So any questions up to this point, some discussion?
Hare Krishna, are there any other
Anything?
questions? Any questions, any comments?
Otherwise, we can finish the purport.
Yes, Prabhuji, let's finish the purport. We don't have much time left.
Lord Brahma is the first living being who directly learned the Vedic wisdom from the Lord. Therefore, who can be a more learned Vedantist? He admits that in spite of his perfect knowledge in the Vedas, he was unable to know the glories of the Lord. Since no one can be more than Lord Brahma, how can a so-called Vedantist be perfectly cognizant of the absolute truth? The so-called Vedantist, therefore, cannot enter into the existence of the Lord without being trained in the matter of Bhakti Vedanta, or Vedanta plus Bhakti. Vedanta means self-realization, and Bhakti means realization of the personality of Godhead to some extent. No one can know the personality of God in full, but at least to a certain extent, one can know the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, by self-surrender and a devotional attitude, and by nothing else. In the Brahma Samhita, also, it is said, Vedeshu Durlabham, or simply by study of Vedanta, one can hardly find out the existence of the personality of Godhead. But the Lord is a Durlabham, Atma Bhakta, very easily available to his devotee. Srila Vyasadeva therefore was not satisfied simply with compiling the Vedanta Sutras, but over and above this, by the advice of his spiritual master Narad, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam in order to understand the real import of Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, is the absolute medium by which to understand the absolute truth. So there are a number of verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, which in this second canto, that encourage us that if we ask the question, how can I be stronger in my devotion? How can I have more faith in Krishna? The simple answer is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam as much as possible, which means to associate with pure devotees. The Srimad Bhagavatam is as potent as the Hare Krishna mantra. If we read, especially out loud, the verses, the English translations, it is equal to chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, which doesn't mean that we can replace it with chanting, but the spiritual power is the same. Srila Prabhupada tells us this. It is Shabda Brahman. It is Krishna. This Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna incarnated in sound. And we see this, that Maharaj Pariksit, he is about to be bitten by some poisonous bird, and he is not eating, he is not drinking, and he is still happy and cheerful and strong in his mind. And what is he doing? He is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And our own Srila Prabhupada, our ISKCON founder, Acharya, also, the last 4 or 6 months of his stay with us, he hardly ate anything, but he was always doing what? Talking about Krishna. And he was cheerful and strong-minded right up to minutes before he left this world. So we have someone not just from thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago, but we have someone very recent who obviously is so self-realized and a pure devotee of Krishna. We are very fortunate to have such association. And if we are not hearing Srila Prabhupada's lectures regularly, we should try to. Sometimes it's not always easy to understand what he says, but it becomes more clear if we just go on hearing. Very special to hear a pure devotee speak about Krishna. So I'll stop here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for today's session. And we learned so much about Sharanagrati and the 5 types of liberation, and that we don't have to be a Pandit in Vedas, but just to be sincere and earnest and just to surrender, which might be very difficult for all of us because we are not trained that way. But we need to untrain ourselves, and especially for devotional service, surrender is very important. And then we understood the meaning of Vedanta, Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti is the realization of the Lord, and Vedanta is self-realization, who we really are. and what is our relationship with the Lord. So thank you very much for today's session. Are there any questions or comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for that auspicious talk that we've had. Yeah, it's maybe there's a point. I like the point of a devotee. The bhakti yoga is the highest form of yoga, and my question was, can a devotee practice other types of yoga like Kriya yoga or Hatha yoga or others as he practice bhakti in the same time, or there's no need of such other yogas as long as the devotee is in bhakti. There's no need of having in this other spiritual yogas like Kriya. And maybe one more question is the purport says anyone denying the surrendering process is as recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is forced to surrender to the laws of nature. Since we are in this material world, to what extent, because we still have to associate with the material oriented nature in our activities of the family and jobs, to what extent can we say that we have surrendered unto Krishna, and also we are also associating in our material nature to be at least in a to be to what extent can we really balance, or do we have to
Yes,
to go deep?
a very, 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 very important question, because we all, I don't think many of us are living in caves or anything. We have many things to do. We have to have money to pay for food and clothes and house and medicine and family members, all these things, or school. Again, those prayers, those songs of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he spent most of his life, he was working as a school teacher and administrator in the British government. So he was very busy, yeah, in ordinary activities. It might, I always, I have found that the answer to that, or how to adjust that, becomes clear according to how good our sadhana is. That, and especially a little maturity after some time of hearing Bhagavad Gita, studying Bhagavad Gita, hearing lectures, understanding the process, but especially our sadhana, the quality of our chanting and following the regulative principles, will bring a vision more and more automatically. But we can step back, and what do I know? I'm certainly not a pure devotee of Krishna, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada quotes other spiritual masters that I go to work every day to maintain your house. And I am making all of my efforts to maintain your family. These are not my family members. Well, they are, but they are yours. This house is yours. This car is yours. This body is yours. I am yours. So we're talking about the inner attitude. That when we wake up in the morning, the devotee has that inner vision of identity. I am a tiny part of God, of Krishna. These people, these family members, these neighbors, everyone is part of God. I am his servant. Everything is his. I'm not working for my house. I'm not working for my wife, my husband, my children. They are his. And I am responsible to take care. So I am the servant taking care of God's property. Isn't that a nice? Doesn't that make the whole thing spiritual? It doesn't matter where you're riding on the bus, you're digging in the field, you're building something in the, it doesn't matter what we're doing. It's our inner attitude of who we are, right? And who we're working for. I'm not working to make a lot of money so I can get this and get that. I am working hard to make a lot of money because I am responsible to take care of my family for Krishna or myself if I'm single. I am a servant of Krishna, a tiny part of God, and I have to be alive so I can serve him. And that's why I'm going to school. That's why I'm going to work. That's why I'm taking a shower. That's why I'm going to take a nap. That's why I'm eating. This is why I'm going to go to the beach, to the ocean for a week, so I can relax, rejuvenate, get my strength back for more service to Krishna. You see? So it is what they call dovetailing. But it begins with that that inner attitude makes it all come to life. Everything becomes clear with that inner identity. And we have that by the quality of our sadhana. Then it will just happen. We'll wake up a little bit more fixed in this mentality. And when we're doing our work and taking care of our family, we'll be a little bit more focused because of our sadhana and associating with pure devotees and praying to Krishna. I can't have this mentality without your help. Forget it. Please help me. Hare Krishna, Hare, please help me have the right vision today. You see? Does that make sense? Because it's not something, I mean, we can use our willpower to kind of, and we have to try to think like that, but it's just something that comes naturally because of our identification as a tiny part of Krishna. Why don't people think like this? Why don't I always think like? Because I forget who I am. That's why. Why aren't more people at this Srimad Bhagavatam Zoom meeting? I don't mean devotees, I mean others. Because they're not identified. They're not thinking it matters to them. That's all. Why aren't people in Yugoslavia signing up for the Kenyan army? Because they don't identify themselves as citizens of Kenya, right? So self-realization, that's why we focus on the self-realization. If I can do that, everything else will become clear. The pure devotees explain to us that pure chanting is impossible without self-realization, without being above the bodily concept of life, out of the material. To that extent, we can chant and serve purely. This self-realization is so important that I am not this body, tiny part of God. There are many, many religious people who believe in God, but they're in the bodily concept of life. I'm a Italian Christian, I'm an Israeli Jew, I'm a Gujarati Hindu or whatever it is. They're religious, which is nice, but it's in the bodily concept of life. You're not Gujarati, you're not Italian, and you're not Catholic. So it's a high level, not hard, but it's like you said, Dennis, it is a whole other level of yoga. This is the perfection of yoga. So sadhana, we focus on sadhana, associating with people who have that attitude. It's a right. We can even do affirmations. I am the servant of Krishna. Everyone belongs to him. Everything belongs to God. I belong to God. I'm working for him. You can say that 10 times in the morning, 10 times at night. See what it does. I've done it. It's how, we have to train our mind. We have to steer it, like steering wheel. Okay, we're late.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, and thank you, Dennis Prabhu, for asking that question. When you ask questions, it helps us as well. But I think we have exhausted our time, so we'll wrap it up. Dennis Prabhu, can you please close the session for us? Is it possible for you to do that, Prabhu?
Yes. Thank you, Mataji, Professor Kitaka. And thank you also, Dina Sharana, for that very auspicious talk. Actually, it was one of the when I was reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, I sent the same verse to a friend, asking them, "Hey, look at something that Krishna is unable to estimate his own limits." And thank you very much for expounding on it further. So maybe we can end the session with a round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yeah. So Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai, Jai.
His Grace Dina Sharan Prabhuji ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. I
Thank you
wish
very
everyone
much.
a good week and remembering Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We will try.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Haribol.